Hey everyone, welcome to the ultimate B&M project here in Parkitect. I'm going to try and make the most detailed roller coaster I've ever made in the game. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. Let's roll the intro. Hello YouTube friends, welcome to a new project. I'm going to be doing a B&M flawless coaster, and I'm going to try and include all the kind of details that a typical B&M coaster would have. I'm starting off with the layout, and obviously at the top of the lift there would be a pre-drop. A pre-drop is very common on B&M coasters, and I'm just going to show you a picture now of Scream from Six Flags Magic Mountain. As you can see, it has a pre-drop there at the top, so I'm just kind of recreating that kind of feature that these coasters have. Not every B&M has a pre-drop. The most more recent B&M coasters have kind of got rid of this thing. There is actually one flawless coaster called Nitro in India that doesn't have a pre-drop, and I think it's the only flawless coaster that doesn't have a pre-drop, so it's very more of a modern version of one of these coasters, but I'm going to try and do more of a traditional style flawless coaster. Now this coaster kind of turns out to be somewhat more of a stand-up type of coaster. When I mean that, I mean kind of like Mantis from Cedar Point, and then it kind of got converted into a flawless coaster into Rougarou. And so I feel like after I made this layout, it kind of had that style that it could have been a stand-up first. That wasn't my intention, but maybe that's something I can just kind of go with. I'm starting off here with a giant loop at the bottom of the first drop, and I just used the track edit mod for this just to try and get that nice shape of that B&M loop. The loops in the in-game are a little bit too round for me, especially when doing these realism projects, and I wanted to try and make that loop just a bit more kind of B&M looking, so I've just tweaked it a little bit by using the track edit mod, which you can download on the Steam Workshop. It's a bit tricky to use, but after a bit of practice and playing around with it, you get the hang of it, and you start figuring out little tricks and things you can do with it. So I actually found out I could do these kind of loop shapes here, and actually do have a tutorial on my channel. If you go to the how-to playlist, you'll see how to do better loops, so if you can do it in your parks as well. The track edit mod can be quite tricky sometimes with joining pieces up and transitions and things. If you're looking for like an ultimately kind of smooth roller coaster, you're not going to get that with this game. The coaster builder is very cool, much better than the Roller Coaster Tycoon series, but it definitely has its limits, and sometimes with smoothing and stuff it's not as good maybe as to say Planet Coaster. Planet Coaster obviously is a very different game to this, so smoothness here isn't the main goal of the coaster. The main thing for me is details and layout. As long as the coaster looks pretty, I'm all good. So now I'm going in and doing a dive loop. I'm doing this by using a diagonal slope piece, which is available if you use the Coaster Anarchy mod set from the Steam Workshop. That allows you to do kind of curved diagonals. So that's how I've created this dive loop here. And I'm kind of sinking some of the track here into the ground so I can kind of make some trenches. A lot of B&M roller coasters have trenches in the ground that the track kind of runs into. Adds for some great kind of that feeling of speed when being close to the ground, so I've tried to include some trenches, and those I'll dress up and make more detailed later on in another episode, but for now I'm just focusing on the layout. But I'm getting in my head a rough kind of layout of the coaster. So now I'm doing something that is seen on a few of the B&M coasters, that is a loop, dive loop, and a turnaround section, and so I got inspiration for this from two coasters. One of them being, which I've already mentioned, is Nitro from India, and then there's another flawless coaster in Asia somewhere called Insane Speed. Now both these coasters use a very similar layout at the beginning of the ride, and that is a kind of swerved curving drop into a loop, dive loop, and a turnaround, and I'm just going to show you pictures of them both now. So here's Nitro. As you can see, this is the one without the pre-drop, has a swoop into a loop, dive loop, turnaround into a 0G roll, and Insane Speed here has a loop, dive loop, a turnaround, and then it goes into a corkscrew section. So I've just done the 0G roll there. I'm actually going to edit this a little bit. You'll see at the end when I put a final picture of the layout. I did the turnaround through the loop instead, and I drew out the 0G roll to make it a bit smoother. So now that leads into the mid-course brake run. Obviously that is very common for B&M coasters to have a mid-course brake run. That allows the coaster also to run more trains. These normally run maybe 2 or 3 trains, especially on like a busy day at a theme park. So the mid-course brake run really allows the coaster to operate with high capacity. And then the second half of the ride is going to be more of like a twisty sort of transition, a little corkscrew in there, just to kind of change up the rest of the layout. The beginning, I think, is very kind of standard blocky inversions, and then after the mid-course brake run I'm going into a twisty section, which is very common with these rides. A lot of them actually have what's called an interlocking corkscrew, which is a very common feature on a B&M. I'm not actually going to do that on this coaster. I'm going more for the twistiness, and in my head I have the end of Rougarou, and that coaster obviously was a stand-up and was converted into a floorless, but the beginning of that coaster is very standard B&M with the inversions, and then after the mid-course brake run it goes into this very twisty section, which I think is really cool. It's one of my favourite floorless coasters out there, along with Kraken at SeaWorld. And even Kraken at SeaWorld kind of has a bit of a twisty moment at the end as it dives into the tunnel. There's the corkscrews and everything. So I've just wanted to kind of curate that as well with the end of this coaster. I'm really happy with the layout so far. I think it's looking really kind of realistic for a B&M. And then obviously then that leads me then into the brake run, which is quite long, but the brake run on Scream at Magic Mountain is also very long. Here is a picture of Rougarou here from Cedar Point. As you can see, it's very twisty there at the end after the brake run, before the brake run, after the mid-course. Here's my layout, and I'm just going to show you a video now of the train running round. I did edit it slightly, smoothed out the corkscrew, and I put the turnaround after the dive loop through the loop. But if you've enjoyed this video, then give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button if you're watching and you're not subscribed, and the bell icon if you want to be notified when I next upload a video. But everyone stay cool, have a good time, and I'll see you all next time for another episode. Ciao!